Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you all. I really would like to ask you, please, to put on your cameras because it is going to be a bit more of an interactive session today. And it's just, I think, nicer for Lisa-Marie to be able to see the people that she's talking to and dealing with. I saw your message, Charlie. That's perfectly okay. That's okay. So please do, yeah, if you can fix it, if you can get it on, it is appreciated, so that we're not just talking into black screens as well. It does make a difference, guys. It really does for us from the other side here when we're talking away. So if you can, that would be wonderful. And hope everyone's had an amazing week. And I am so delighted to have Lisa-Marie join us today to do our little life audit. Looking very forward to that. And I'm going to just kick it off immediately, actually, with Lisa-Marie, just to ask you, Lisa-Marie, just to tell us a little bit about your background. Yes, before we go into the session, it will be interactive. I did say that in the newsletters that if you can get paper and pen to write down some notes, that would be good too. So Lisa-Marie, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate your presence today to guide us through your process. And as with all of our facilitators that come on the Wellbeing at Home, we like to dig a little bit and find out what brought them to the work that they're doing, find out a little bit about their background, just get into their psyche a bit. So please do let us know what, we'll get into your process a bit later, but
yeah,
what brought you to this work?
Burnout is the shortest answer. But before I go into that, welcome everybody, and thank you so much, Stella and all of you, for sharing the space with me this morning. As Stella said, if you can put your cameras on, it will be great. Appreciate if you can't. It just really helps with you tuning in and creating presence. One of the things that is really important to me is that we co-create the space today. So we get to choose what we'd like the space to be and feel like. I have attended Wellbeing at Home sessions before myself, and it would just be nice if we can check in and just see how everyone's feeling this morning, and for me to get to know you a little bit better as well. So if you're comfortable to, no obligation, just let me know where you're dialing in from, and also just one word as to how you're feeling this morning, please.
There you go. You didn't realize you had to work a little bit on this one, did you? Okay, let's get our chat up. Just put it into chat.
London. I'm in Surrey. I'm in Surbiton in Surrey. Not quite experiencing the 39 degrees that Stella is, but very happy to see some sunshine this week.
Okay, Bucks. A lot of Londoners in today.
Bucks.
Oh. Oh, nice one, Diane.
Oh, post-COVID.
Nottingham,
yes.
Good. We're getting a little bit further up into the country there, rather than all south. Staffordshire, yay.
Jersey, on my list to go to, actually. Looks so wonderful, Jersey. There's a mix of emotions and feelings in the space today. And maybe we can just start by thanking ourselves for giving ourselves this time. It's really difficult when life is so frantic and we move at the pace that we currently do to carve out time for ourselves. And we're all here because we're interested in well-being and looking after ourselves, but isn't always easy to make that a priority, albeit part of my premise is it's foundational. So allow those feelings to be, would be my recommendation, but just give yourself a little bit of recognition and gratitude for giving yourself this time. What would be nice to know is what you would like this space to be like this morning. What would make this a good session for each of you? Stimulating and supportive. Nice.
Great words, great words. I guess stimulating in the thought.
Some inspiration, practical next steps. You'll definitely get those. Yeah. Positive hints, tips, inspiring. I'll try. Okay. As Stella said, it's an interactive session, so feel free to come in with your questions. She's going to be helping me keep an eye on the chat just whilst I'm taking you through the process. And there's no right or wrong questions. It's just a case of whatever's coming up for you is okay to share. Yeah, I could say this is a safe space, but it's important that each of us commit to it being that, and that whatever's shared in this space, you know, is for us here today and this morning. And with your thoughts in mind around what would make this a positive experience, I'd just like you to settle on an intention for this session. And that's an intention which is personal to you. If you'd like to, you can share it, but there's no requirement for you to do that.
I'll share.
Please.
My intention is to be inspired and find the space to be able to calm my brain down. To not be overstimulated.
Thanks, Stella. Calm my nervous system. Great way to just calm yourselves down is using breath work, just coming back to slowing down your breath. There's lots of different patterns in which you can use, but just to keep things really simple, just have your feet firmly on the ground. Just take some deep inhalations, ensuring that your exhalations are slower. You can do that with your eyes closed or open. And do it until you notice that your shoulders relax a little and your body feels more easy. Open and receptive. Great intention, Jackie. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So I'm going to come back to Stella's question, what brought me into this line of work? And my answer was burnout. So I worked in the city for about 17 years. I was Chief Marketing Officer for a global law firm, working at a very fast and hard pace, crazy hours, totally living on autopilot, flying all around the world on a very regular basis. I think I probably could have caused the collapse of Pret when I left London on the basis that I ate basically my breakfast, lunch and dinner from there, or M&S. And everything came out of a packet. Everything was microwavable or easy to eat. And then I'd wake up on Saturday mornings and think, I'm A, exhausted, and B, what can I do to claw back some life? And the thing that was going on for me really was that I had no boundaries. I was in service to everybody else other than myself. And this culminated when a series of life events cataclysmically combined within a 6-week period. So I'd started to notice some stress symptoms quite a few months out, and that was stomach pain, headache, very tense body. I wasn't really moving at all every day. I was typically sat in my chair at my desk, in meetings or at work dinners or on a plane or in a taxi or in a meeting room, essentially. So I wasn't moving my body. So I just put my body being stiff and a bit awkward down to the fact that I was quite sedentary. But the stress symptoms were getting progressively worse and manifested themselves in anxiety. And I was physically anxious, and I was experiencing palpitations. And also it got to the point where my stress was so bad that half of my head had gone numb. So I went to the doctors and I just said, look, I don't know what's going on. But I'd been to the doctors a couple of times prior to that with just like, my stomach's really bad. And I've suffered with IBS since my late teens, but I'd had it under control for a very long time because it's diet related for me, and stress related. So they said, well, we have actually seen you a couple of times, Lisa, let's just put the pieces of the puzzle together. So they sent me off for some neurological tests, and they basically came back and said, your neurological tests are absolutely fine. However, what we know from what you're telling us is that you're essentially burning out. We want you to go and see a psychiatrist. And when I got told I needed to go and see a psychiatrist, I was floored. I'm a very open individual. I've had therapy 3 times in my life. I think therapy is one of the best things that you can ever do for yourself, because they are just conversations of clarity as far as I'm concerned. But the word psychiatrist scared the life out of me. I thought, I can't, I won't, I'm not, I don't need this. Essentially, my body and my brain and my emotional system was just saying enough already. So the doctor signed me off work, and I spoke to my boss. I had 2 bosses at the time. One was the CEO and the other one was the global CMO. So I was a regional CMO. And she said to me, they called me LM in work. She's like, LM, go to the psychiatrist. And she's like, you know, the doctor's telling you this for a good reason. So I did. I went to the psychiatrist, and out of that experience, I got absolute clarity of all of the things that was going on in my life that I was doing that wasn't serving me. And I was able to see that I was doing everything for everybody else and not for myself. So I was signed off work, and I actually ended up being off work got signed off in the September, and I resigned in the January, and I was off work for that period. And then I was on 6 months gardening leave. So when I got signed off in the September, fight or flight mode kicked in. And this is quite a serendipitous moment for me, because I thought, I need to get out of here. My relationship with my partner imploded at that point. He left me, which I wasn't expecting. And I'd gone through 2 quite stressful years in our relationship, because he had retired from the military after 25 years of service and had a very difficult transition and was experiencing his own mental health challenges. His dad, essentially my father-in-law, got diagnosed with 2 different types of cancer. I got a letter to tell me that I had needed to have part of my cervix removed. I had significant challenges going on at work, and I was burning out essentially because of what was going on at work. And somebody very close to me died 2 weeks before their wedding. So
Wow.
Lots of different life events happened in one go, which completely floored me. Any single one of those life events happening was stressful enough, but the 5 in one go within a 6-week period was just horrific. So as I said, flight or fight mode came in, and flight 1. And I was like, I need to get out of here. And Google brought me to Wellbeing Escapes, randomly enough. And I called them. I'd never come across them before. I called them on a Friday afternoon, and I said, look, I'm burning out. I need to go somewhere. And it was Dominica, and Dominica basically said, here's 2 options. When do you want to go? And I was like, this weekend. So I was on a flight 36 hours later. And part of me cocooning myself and taking myself somewhere else was just, I needed a way to hold myself out of my normal context, but to know that I was in the right environment for that to happen. I didn't need to be surrounded by anything other than gentle care. So that retreat actually was the beginning of my epiphany around there's got to be another way. I wasn't ready to know what the other way was, but I then went on the retreat and came back and began a series of sort of well-being practices, things that I hadn't had any time or space or inclination for previously. And I started to practice things like meditation, mindfulness, grounding, yoga, acupuncture, nutrition. I just made this big investment in myself, despite feeling very broken. And little by little, I repaired myself. So then when it came to the January, as much as I wasn't fully better, I was a lot better, and I had clarity of mind to make that decision of I can't go back to how things were. I need to find another way. So I quit, and I was on 6 months gardening leave. And whilst I was on the gardening leave, I decided that I wanted to qualify to become a coach. And I decided I wanted to coach because it enabled me to use my sweet spot, which I believe is people, but in a way that protected me. So the journey that I was going on was I needed to develop new boundaries. And so in developing those boundaries, how could I do that, but still utilize the thing that brought me so much joy, and that was working with people. And so what I realized is that coaching is actually very boundaried, in the sense that my work is to uncover what's within you, your own innate wisdom. And so I began the process of qualifying as a coach. And I literally had this sort of light bulb moment where I was just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be helping others find a different way. So I created my business, which is called Soulitude7. And solitude is a made-up word, but it's the combination of soul and attitude. And the number 7 is a very significant spiritual number. So I believe that when you're in alignment, your soul is shining, and that we all have choice over our attitude. And that the number 7 is, as I said, very spiritually representative. So bringing those things together gave me that real clarity around, I was so disconnected from my soul and my true purpose. And I'd gone onto this path of being on autopilot, earning 6-figure salaries, flying all around the world. I had all of this great capital, and I don't mean that in a necessarily money sense, but I had this capital and this sense of achievement. But actually, I wasn't doing anything that set my own soul on fire. And so over the last 3 years, I've been working with individuals to help them come back to themselves and use well-being really as a springboard to life satisfaction and fulfillment, and also high performance at work, but finding a different way in which to do things. And so what I noticed over the last 3 years in working with individuals, there's 3 pillars really, which are foundational. And that is self-awareness, self-belief, and self-care. And then that's what I've used to create my Get Out of Your Own Way framework. And that is really, if we know ourselves, we can manage ourselves. If we believe in ourselves, we have more opportunity, and we have got more possibility and more potential. And if we care for ourselves, it really is the springboard to success. And by success, I mean feeling like when I wake up, the majority of the time, because I know life isn't perfect, and I'm not here to suggest it is, but when we wake up the majority of the time, we're feeling good about what it is that we're doing and how life is turning out for us, because we're in control. That's my story.
Wow. It's all I can say. Wow. I have heard a tiny version of that in the past, but that's actually well, firstly, I'm so sorry you went through all of that within 6 weeks. That's huge, long list of things to go through, but maybe it had to happen to be your catalyst to move into the direction that you've gone into. I mean, I'm always one to believe in synchronicities, and sometimes life gives us a huge wake-up call, which is not the most pleasant of circumstances, in order to push us into, as you say, getting out of your own way, or
totally
making changes. And so, wow, good for you, Lisa.
Thank
I mean,
you.
that's just That's huge and so beautifully articulated. I can see why you were in marketing. So can you just,
Yeah.
before we start the process, I'm very curious as to the spiritual meaning of the number 7.
Yeah, so it's a lucky number in some I can't think of the word, in
Cultures.
some realms.
Yeah.
It's a lucky number in some realms. It's a number of good fortune in others.
Okay.
And it's also a number in relation to being in alignment. And so again, for me, that soul and attitude. So, you know, what brings your soul alive? It's one of my favorite questions when I'm workshopping with others. And just asking that question sometimes, you know, it really helps people take a step back from the dishes or the monotony of the daily routine. Because it's really easy with the way in which the world is structured and we are conditioned as humans just to fall into things are the way they are, and that's it.
Yeah. It's the lack of the conscious life, of conscious living, because we just,
Absolutely.
as you say, autopilot. So wow, well, thank you for that. And I love the kind of self-empowerment part of that as well, you know, knowing what our purpose is and then having the confidence to make it happen, because I think a lot of us don't trust ourselves around that. And Alison has actually put there, when you asked what people wanted to gain out of it, is courage, and that's a big one. So I won't hold up the process any longer. Thank you for the background, and thank you for going on a wellbeing escape to get you into the
Thank you.
I didn't pay her to say that, guys.
No, she didn't. She really didn't.
But it is, you know, I mean, that's the great thing about taking yourself away, whether you're going on a wellbeing escape or anywhere, really, you know, just to step away from your day-to-day and be able to have the space to think about what you need to do. So let's start, shall we?
Yeah, thank you, Stella. And absolutely, just one thing to say is I see everything that's happened as a gift, and I know that can be quite hard to get to that point, but actually I feel really aligned. And you know, that wasn't my first rodeo with tough times in life. I've had a few other things go on, and I think I've built up my resilience over time. And just coming back to your point about confidence is something which is a continual practice, and it actually comes through action. It doesn't just grow by itself. And it can require courage, and I love courage. And in fact, I have a lion on my phone as my screensaver, and it's there just as a visual reminder to me every day to go out there and to be courageous. And obviously some days I could be much more courageous than others. So a life audit. What is a life audit? It's essentially taking you out of that autopilot and getting you to be more intentional. Intentionality is a great way in which to uncover our purpose. And by purpose, that's not to say that everyone's got to leave this call and go away and feel like they're not purposeful. It's just tapping into what really brings you joy, what lights you up, where do you get your best energy from? That's what I mean when it comes to purpose. It's where are those elements in your life that really make your soul shine or sing. So grab your piece of paper, and I want you to write down all of the areas of your life that come up for you. And it could be anything from relationships, family, friends, lifestyle, fun, health, just whatever comes up for you. Any words which are surfacing, just keep writing them down. So the question, Diane, is grab a piece of paper and just write down all the different areas of your life. And that could be health, finances, fun, lifestyle, work, relationships, personal development, anything that comes up for you. Don't censor yourself. Then if you can turn the page over, and choose just one area of your life that we'll focus on. Let me know when you're ready. It's hard to tell without seeing your faces. Thumbs up. Thanks, Kay. Perfect. Thanks, Jackie. Okay, I think we're there. So with that one area of your life, just start free writing about it. What do you notice? If you were scoring it out of 10, what number would you give it? We think 5 to 7 in the middle is okay, room for some tweaks. 8 to 10 is pretty good. Can't get much better than this. Feeling quite satisfied. And then 1 to 4 is, it's not quite where I'd want it to be. If you can share your number in the chat, that would be great. Just want to get a sense of where people are. Five, 4, 5.
Wow, Jackie.
Nice, Jackie. 7, solid. 9. Okay, you've picked an area of your life that you've enjoyed today. Great, Diane. Okay, so when we think about the variances in these numbers and this particular area of your life that you're looking at, there's some questions which I'm just going to guide you through. But for those of you that are at the higher end, recognizing what makes it that number is really helpful. And then when we think about some of the other areas which are on the flip side of the piece of paper, if you've got the intention or the objective of getting them up higher, what is it about that 8, 9, 10 that you might be able to borrow and take over into those other areas of your life? How have you got to those higher numbers? And for those at the lower numbers, is what makes it that? You know, it's very subjective picking numbers to grade ourselves and to grade our life satisfaction about certain things. So just thinking about that number that you've given yourself, what does it feel like? Where do you feel it? Is it in your tummy, your heart? Maybe it's in your head. Just try and really tune into where in your body are you feeling it. And in terms of what does it feel like? Is it soft? A bit hard? Tight? Loose? How would you like it to feel? Where would you like to feel it? What's most important to you about this feeling? And it can be the feeling of how it is now, and then move on to the feeling of how you'd like it to really feel, if there is a difference. What does it look like? Either draw it or describe it. If you're stuck, look around your surroundings and see if there's an object near you that it could be. It might be a cushion, supportive, firm or squishy. Could be a vase or a glass, something that contains something. What does this feeling need? What does the future feeling need? Again, don't censor yourself. Just allow anything that's coming through to be there. No judgment. Just curiosity. Just notice everything that's coming up for you. What will you gain by the change? Think about what will be different. Not better or worse, just different. Maybe for you, maybe for others. What do you need to make it different? Is it time or space? A decision? A choice? Maybe it's a hard conversation. Or some deeper reflection. Why? Truthfully, why? Who do you want to be in this area of your life? Think of that future self. Who do you want to be? How will you know you're being that person? What choices are you going to make to be that person? What might I do that will stand in my way? And what support can I lean on to help me get there? Know that the change is possible. Think of a time when in this area of your life you felt positive or empowered. Allow that memory to give you hope and possibility of having more of it. Take a few moments to visualize yourself at that number where you want to be. Having worked through some of the things you've identified. Got a sense of achievement and pride for having given yourself what you need and desire. Say thank you to yourself. Just allow that to settle. Thank you for helping me to become who I want to be. When you're ready, just come back into the chat. Allowing any thoughts or feelings, anything you might want to share, we'll just take note of. Being gentle with ourselves, not pushing, not rushing, just when you're ready. Stella,
Yeah.
perhaps you can share with me how you
Yeah,
found the experience.
I can kick it off for sure. So I can I'll be open with everyone. So, I wrote down a number of different areas in my life, and the one the word that I really focused on was balance, because I lead a really active, busy life. It's not all work. I just want to say it isn't all work, but I'm just one of those people that wants to fill every minute of the day with something. And it can be exhausting, actually. And because I'm naturally excitable and want to try and curious and everything, this process really allowed me to get below that and say, okay, well, why am I feeling that I need to fill every moment of my day with all these lovely experiences or new things, or, or supporting other people, or doing, looking after other people? And why do I have to schedule so much in my life? And it allowed me to get underneath that. I really liked the point where you said, picture, if this was an object, what would it be? And it was really interesting, because I wrote down it would be a box. like it was quite boxy and structured, and it would be blue. I don't know where the blue came from, but it would be like this blue structured box. And what do I want it to be instead? I'm going to take this out, this bowl I've got in front of me. And I want it to be something more like this, you know, like soft and malleable and unstructured and easy. So it was a really lovely process for me to kind of just get deep into that. And understand that, and then I'm asked, you know, getting below why and what needs to be done to take it from a 5 to an 8, you know, what can be. So it's a nice process to trigger those thoughts, and that's not something I wouldn't have done on my own. I wouldn't even the time, because I'm too busy structuring my life and filling it and doing rather than being rather
totally.
than. Yeah, so I've just shared that. I mean, I don't know if anyone else would like to share. You know, you feel free to, if you want to speak, feel free to do that, or you can put it in chat. But the actual process, or any little snippets of the process you want to share with us, without obviously giving too much away, your personal thoughts.
Thank you, Stella, for being so open, and you know, brilliant observation around the object that you feel like you currently are versus the object that you want to be, and getting that clarity around how do I move myself to that more looser, unstructured. And, you know, something you said is about I'm constantly doing. And one of the things about doing a life audit is very much about how do you move from doing to being. And that being point is, who am I being? Who am I being with how I'm being at the moment? Or who am I being by what I'm doing? And just really connecting to that, who am I being? Or who will I be when I'm at that other number or whatever? And again, it's not about good or bad. It's just about differences. Yeah, seeing it on paper, Sarah, maybe Sarah, hopefully I've got it right. Either which way, let me know, please. Seeing on paper what barriers I put up to stop me. Yeah, it's, you know, we can dismiss this stuff. We can push it down like a beach ball constantly. Thank you. And when we push something down, you know, what does it do? It bounces back up. And so taking this time out of the disconnection or the avoidance or life responsibilities, and things are just the way they are, and giving ourselves this space and time just to explore what would I like to be different. It's not about wholesale change necessarily, although for some it can be, but it's just what are these little tweaks that I can make that are going to really up level where I'm at. That's going to give me a greater sense of satisfaction or fulfillment.
Because for some people, like, it can be something really massive. It could be, you know, it could be a problematic relationship. It could be, I hate my job. It could be like really, you know, something very big, or as you say, something smaller that you can change gradually, or make small changes to. Well, you know, you said at the beginning when you talked about solitude is the attitude, and you said something, I wrote it down, confidence comes through action.
Yeah.
Which I think that's great, you know, because that actually is taking action, because it's one thing to write it all down, which is fine because you have to find out what you need to take the action on. And you're not living on that in that autopilot. But that takes courage, right?
Yeah. Willingness is the starting point, you know, being open. I want to explore this. So if we're open and saying, I want to explore it, we're not making anything happen other than just a conversation around, here's where I'm at, not even sure where I want to go, because that's the other thing. Like, people come all the time and they know that things aren't right, They can't necessarily put their finger on it, and they don't necessarily know what it is that they want to change. But it's just by smart questioning and intelligent listening, that's how I describe it, that we uncover our own innate wisdom. You know, I don't need somebody else to come in and tell me how to live my life, because that's them giving me their view and their lived experience. What my role is to help people to uncover within themselves, what is it that you really want to be doing differently? And there will be a lot of subconscious and sometimes quite often conscious decisions that we're making all day, every day, thought biases. So, you know, this thing of overgeneralization, it's this way, therefore it's only ever going to be this way. That's a common type of thinking that we all experience, or black and white thinking, it's this or it's that. Things aren't that finite. And so what tends to happen is our thinking gets in the way of us taking action. And so one baby step, you know, from what everyone's gone through with the exercise, is just think, what one thing am I now going to do? Because as you say, Stella, it could be something huge, which is really difficult to change. Not impossible, but difficult. Or it could be just, you know, a little, I've been meaning to have that conversation to let X know why. You know, just making that commitment to yourself. And that's where I bring it back to this self-awareness, self-belief and self-care. Because for me, self-care is self-respect. And I didn't respect myself for a long time. And I think also being women, I think we've got all women on the call, being women, you know, our default position is to help others. That's just who we are by nature and by science. And that can get out of balance and we can end up over functioning. And what we want to do is bring it back into optimal functioning and thinking, okay, let me give to myself what I give to others and see what changes for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Allow ourselves that space to be able to do that. Absolutely. Do you want to just share with us a little bit? Because I know you do like a whole full audit, don't you? So you do, do you do workshops, or what's your process with this? This was a tiny little taste, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I typically work with people one-to-one. And that's where clients come to me and we just take a holistic view of your life, and we look at all the different areas of it, and we work out where you're at and where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And part of my support is really very much around doing that initial discovery piece and exploring some of those blockages, some of the things that are keeping you stuck. And that can be around beliefs, it can be around barriers, you know, situational things. And then I very much act like an accountability partner to help you make progress against some of these changes that you want. So if anyone's interested, you're very welcome to come follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram and just follow up with me that way. Equally, you know, if there's something that you want to do around, we just go through a series of these explorations and we go around a life, you know, your life in a series of sessions together as a group. That's also another option. So I'm flexible in terms of how we work. Equally, you know, in having done the practice yourselves today, maybe just spend some more time with other areas of your life and take yourself back through those questions and see what comes up for you. It is, I noticed one of you lovely ladies said that you felt a bit emotional, and that's a really normal response. You know, emotions are signals, and what we try and do sometimes is push them away. And what I really encourage people to do is just embrace them. You know, go underneath the emotion, think, what is this showing me? What is this telling me? And just hold it lightly. Give it a hug. You know, crying is great. It's great for the soul. Let it all out. Don't avoid your emotions in terms of when things are coming up from you, having done exercises like this. And if you can do something nice for yourself, you know, once we've wrapped up the session, whether it's a just being still with a nice hot drink, or going for a walk or something. Just go gently today. Go gently with yourself.
It's interesting. This deep work can really shift a lot of stuff, can't it? So
absolutely.
And if you haven't done anything like that before in particular, or if it's new to you, it can be quite, shift. Well, what's the word I'm looking for? It can be profound. It could be profound.
Yeah. And as I say, please just go gently with yourself. You might come away feeling really excited and energetic about it, or you might come away thinking, oh, I've got some stuff to do. I'm very much around seeing things as differences rather than it's good or it's bad.
Yeah.
Things are only good or bad if we put that lens on it.
Yeah. Perfect. Oh, well, thank you so much, Lisa-Marie, for
my pleasure.
Being with us, allowing us the space, the time to do a little bit of an audit on certain part of our lives. I've got lots of words here, lots of areas in my life. So, oh my God,
don't judge yourself is what I would say, everybody.
Yeah.
Just be curious, just notice.
Yeah. And that hopefully will come into the day-to-day as well, where if you've done something or something's upset you, or you're aware of something, you'll say, oh, hang on, let me reflect on that a little bit.
Yeah. And a good way to create space in the day-to-day is I notice that. So rather than I feel sad, it can be I notice that I feel sad or angry or happy. It just creates distance between what you're feeling and what you're thinking. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for sharing the space this morning. And I hope your intentions and objectives for today were achieved. It's my pleasure to help anyone. And if something's come up for you today that you want to talk more about, just let me know. I'm really approachable. It's just great to hear that people are making progress towards the things that they want to be. So thank you so much. And thank you very much, Stella, for having me.
Lisa, thank you for coming along, giving us your wisdom. Oh, there you go, Diane. Some great comments there. Oh, bless you. It is our pleasure to support people on their well-being path. You were talking about purpose. I really see that as being part of my purpose that brings me joy, like just facilitating and helping people as much as I can. It took me a number of years to get to that because I was trying to be successful in inverted commas. But then when you move beyond that and you see what is like true success for you, it does bring you joy. And you've done that too, Lisa. I mean, what a massive shift that you've had in your life. So yes, bless you all too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time and giving yourself some self-care and allowing yourself the space to explore a little bit, reflect a little bit. It's not easy work. And yeah, I'm thankful for everyone's presence. And have a beautiful weekend. Enjoy the sunshine in the UK. I hope I'm coming back next week, so I hope it continues the sun to shine.
Can you bring some of the warmth back with you, please?
Yeah, well, you don't want this. You don't want 40-degree heat. Trust me.
Just a little bit more.
Okay, a little bit more. Okay, but we'll do a sun dance for me. Sun intentions, please. Thank you all. Lovely to see you. And speak to you soon. Lots of love.